Welcome to Firebase Release Notes for May. We launched a whole bunch of new features at Google I/O. If you didn't have the time to watch the Google I/O keynote or the developer keynote, don't worry, I'm going to give you the lowdown and you'll be up to speed in just a few minutes. Let's dig in. First, let's talk about two new integrations. Firebase is now integrated with Google Antigravity. Antigravity's new onboarding flow features a one-click Firebase setup which installs all of the necessary components so you can build with Firebase directly from Antigravity. That means, with a single click, you can teach your favorite agentic platform how to build amazing apps that use Firebase's powerful features. And Firebase is also integrated with Android Studio. From now on, Android developers can use agent mode in Android Studio and get agent skills for Firebase with no additional setup. The AI agent will be able to set up Firestore and Firebase Authentication, generate code for Firestore, and write security rules out of the box. You can learn more about these two integrations on the Antigravity website and the Android developers blog, linked in the description. Speaking of agent skills, we just announced the expansion of our agent skills for Firebase to include mobile platforms. Now you can give coding agents specialized context to integrate and build with Firebase on Android, iOS, and Flutter with higher accuracy and lower token usage. Check out our documentation to get started with agent skills for Firebase. Moving on, we announced a lot of new features to improve the vibe coding experience with Firebase in Google AI Studio. First, you can now deploy your app to Cloud Run with one click without adding a form of payment for your first 2 Firebase-enabled apps on the Google Cloud Starter tier. Check the links in the description to learn more about this new tier. Second, you can now connect your apps to Google Workspace data using natural language. Through a signing with Google Flow, powered by Firebase Authentication, this integration allows you to build apps for your specific needs. Third, you can now export apps built with Firebase from Google AI Studio to Antigravity. All you need to do is click the export button. Your app's source code and the relevant Firebase configuration will be exported so you can continue to work on it from Antigravity. Just make sure you have agent skills for Firebase pre-installed in your local environment. Now let's talk about all the updates in Firebase AI Logic. We just added support for grounding with Google Maps. This means that you can now connect a Gemini model to geospatial data from Google Maps and build location-aware functionality into your apps. Grounding with Google Maps has the following benefits. It reduces model hallucinations by basing responses on Google's database of over 250 million real-world places and businesses. It can answer questions using live data such as current business hours. And it helps build user trust by integrating visual context like interactive map widgets, photos, and Street View. You can check how to get started and what models are supported in our documentation. We also improved the security of our AI features with the new template-only mode. This mode enforces Firebase AI Logic to only execute prompts stored securely on the server, while ignoring arbitrary prompts sent from client apps. And this is good for a few reasons. You're protecting your intellectual property by pulling your prompts off the device and keeping them secure on the backend. You're preventing prompt injection attacks because the client can only fill in specific variables, and you can add extra validation to these variables to make sure they are what your prompt expects. And you can update your prompt, system instructions, and model configuration in the console without releasing a new app version. Still on the security topic, we introduced Firebase App Check Replay Attack Protection via one-time tokens that help prevent malicious actors from reusing valid app check tokens. This stops them from calling the Gemini API multiple times, draining your quotas. Moving on to hybrid AI, Firebase AI Logic now lets you specify an on-device model when using on-device inference in Android apps. With this capability, you can access preview on-device models like Gemini Nano 4, based on Gemma 4. Now, many of you told us that you wanted more control over the aspect ratio and resolution of output images. You will be pleased to hear that you can now specify these properties using the image config setting on the generation config. You can get this code sample in the documentation. A quick note about models. Firebase AI Logic now supports all of the latest models in the Gemini 3 family, like Gemini 3.5 Flash. If you use remote config to control model names, you can update to the latest models directly in the Firebase console. If you don't use remote config, we highly recommend setting it up. It lets you update to the new models without publishing a new app version. And if you're currently using Imagen models to generate images, please note that you will need to migrate to the Nana Banana models by June 24, 2026, since the Imagen models will be shutting down soon. I'll leave the link to the migration guide in the description. Last month, we announced the Firebase integration with Application Design Center, allowing you to deploy and manage your Firebase resources in the same way you manage the rest of your Google Cloud infrastructure. Now, we're launching a new Firebase Full Stack App Essentials template, available in Google's Application Template Catalog. This template includes Firestore with security rules, Firebase Authentication, and Firebase AI Logic. With just a few clicks, you can have a fully configured Firebase stack ready to go with your broader Google Cloud infrastructure, as you can see here. Moving on to our last update. Crashlytics for Web is coming soon. Web support is being built on top of Google Cloud's Observability Suite. Once available, you'll be able to do advanced end-to-end debugging between your client and server, while you're using all the sophisticated capabilities offered by Google Cloud Observability. If you'd like a private preview of Crashlytics for Web, you can sign up for early access through this form, linked in the description. Those were all the updates I had for today. All the links I mentioned in this episode are listed in the description below. I've also included the link to the Firebase blog where you can check all the launches at Google I/O with more details. My name is Marina, and I'll see you on a future episode of Firebase Release Notes.